Many of you with desktop PCs are wondering if the new 3090 Ti is worth that hefty price tag. I'm going to be upgrading the two fastest pre-builds that I've tested so far this year. A head-to-head showdown between the CLX Horus and the Corsair Vengeance i7300. The challenge: which of these two top-tier PCs can squeeze the maximum amount of performance out of this brand new 3090 Ti? The most powerful GPU in the world. Who do you think is going to win? And do you think the upgrade from their current 3090 GPUs is going to be worth that performance boost? I'm curious to see your predictions in the comments below before you finish watching this video. You may be thinking, what's the point? Aren't the new 4000 series GPUs right around the corner? Aside from those release dates getting consistently pushed, when they are released, they're going to be incredibly expensive, if you can even get your hands on one. Thank God the crypto mining rush is over and GPUs are finally coming back down in price. I got this Nvidia Founders Edition from Best Buy for only $1,100. And I know that sounds like a lot, but the weaker 3090 GPU was almost triple this price only 6 months ago because of the shortage due to crypto mining. And as of right now, the EVGA edition of the 3090 Ti is temporarily out of stock at MSRP, so that one is going to cost you more than that at $1,600. If something looks off about this Corsair machine, that's because I flipped it in the edit to make this shop more symmetrical and glorious. But first, let's unbox this beast. Included in the box, the actual graphics card, your PCIe Gen 5 power connector adapter. You must have enough space for a 313mm by 138mm 3-slot card. This graphics card actually requires an 850 watt power supply. Blah, blah, blah. And then you need 2 GB of available disk space for your driver storage. And if you don't have that much, then you got issues. Free up some storage. And now for the grand reveal. Wow, this thing is massive. Oh, that is heavy too. Oh my gosh. Look how beautiful that is. Yeah, that definitely looks like a 3-card slot. That is the thickest GPU that I've ever seen. Really liking the presentation so far. And no, Nvidia did not sponsor this video. All right, let's put that to the side and see what else is in the box. We got a little hole to stick our finger in. So we got a warning. Use only this adapter for your GeForce RTX 3090 Ti Founders Edition graphics card. And then we've got a quick start guide and a support guide. And then this is our new PCIe Gen 5 power adapter connector. 3 8-pin PCIe connectors that all funnel down to a new 12-pin Nvidia connector. I'm guessing this is also probably going to be the new standard on the new 4000 series GPUs. All right, let's put all the boring stuff back in the box and install this beast. Most of you guys already know that replacing the GPU is pretty easy, but for those of you new to this, all you need to do is first make sure that your computer is powered off and unplugged. It is recommended that you place the computer on its back when doing this. Then unplug your GPU, unscrew it from the case here on the side, flip this little switch here in the back, and then gently rock it back and forth to pull it out. Then before we put our brand new 3090 Ti in its place, or any new card for that matter, remember to take off this little cover. Looking at these cards side by side, you can see that they are nearly identical on pretty much every side. The only real difference I see is that the power connector is rotated 90 degrees on the Ti. Now line up the notches on your graphics card with the case and gently but firmly press it in. Just make sure that it's securely in place with that switch flipping back, and make sure that the graphics card power cord is plugged back in all the way. Screw the bracket back up to the chassis and fire up the computer. Download the GeForce Experience app from the internet and then use that to update your graphics drivers. The game ready graphics driver is what we want for these gaming benchmarks. And then I'll install the studio drivers for our creative tests. This is a creator GPU after all, so getting into the meat and potatoes, performance and gaming benchmarks. These were some very interesting results, but do not make your purchase just yet, even after you see which build is faster, because the price to performance ratio, which determines what the best bang for your buck is, that's what you want to base your purchase off of. I'll be revealing the shocking pricing differences between these two right after this section before I talk about my views on all of this. And there's something else near the end of this section that I'm really excited to show you that's going to absolutely blow your mind. So getting into the Cinebench R23 benchmark, which simulates these computers' raw rendering power, you can see that there's very little difference at all for the single core, with just a little bit more deviation on the multi-core. Understandably, nothing too special with a benchmark that tests mainly the CPU, but the Blender GPU score didn't show that much of an improvement either. And for V-Ray, one of the most popular 3D renderers, for the GPU portion of that benchmark, that did show an improvement, with the CLX coming out on top. Things got interesting with 3D Mark though. This gives a much better broad perspective over both creative work and gaming. A pretty decent jump for both the graphics score and overall. The CLX computer actually appeared to be weaker until upgrading to a 3090 Ti. Then it just barely passed up that Corsair Vengeance i7300, also with a 3090 Ti. PC Mark 10, which simulates an even wider range of tasks, showed Corsair to be ahead, and things barely got any better at all by upgrading the GPU. But I know what you guys care the most about on this channel, and that's the gaming benchmarks. You can see that the max preset settings in HD resulted in a jump in FPS for each of these 8 games, CLX again being the king, and the same thing here for max settings at 1440p with even more separation for the CLX 3090 Ti until you got down to some intense games like Cyberpunk and Red Dead. And then for 4K, that also showed a little boost as well using the 3090 Ti. By the way, on a side note, I hope you guys are enjoying these benchmark tests so far because it's the result of tests on 8 different games at 3 different resolutions on 2 different computers twice, one for each GPU, resulting in nearly 100 tests just for the gaming portion of this review. That's a lot of testing. And to sum it all up, here's a pretty nice little graph averaging up all of those 96 tests to show you the average frames per second for each resolution at those max graphic settings. Everything was almost identical for both of the computers when running 3090 GPUs, but the CLX did handle the 3090 Ti a bit better. And looking at it from the perspective of percentage increase from the GPU upgrade, that demonstrates this even more drastically. But I'm gonna go back to that average frames per second graph again because I've got something to show you that's going to absolutely blow your mind. Are you ready for it? My original review with the Corsair Vengeance i7300 machine several months ago with only an i7 and a 3080 GPU, which is way more affordable. Boom. Look at that. Look how incredibly close those average FPS numbers are. Which brings us to the other very important part of this discussion: pricing and availability. Right now, if you're just upgrading only the GPU portion of your computer, you're most likely not going to be able to get your hands on a 3090 unless you go to some place like eBay because they're out of stock everywhere. But the newer and faster 3090 Ti is available to purchase by itself though, and I'll provide links below on where to get one. But if you're in the market for an entirely new pre-built PC, then these two are insanely powerful and are two of the most powerful that I've reviewed on this channel. But before you get one of these, I recommend that you check out my reviews for both of these computers by clicking on one of the links in the description below. So that i7 3080 Ti version of this computer, on their website, that one is only $2,500 right now. With those same exact specs, the CLX Horus is way more expensive at over $3,300. And the i9 3090 Ti version of the Corsair at $3,900 directly from Corsair's site, and the CLX Horus quite a bit more at almost $4,200. And then things get ridiculous when upgrading to the 3090 Ti. On the Corsair page, they get just a little crazy, throwing in some unnecessary extras with that option that brings it to a ridiculous $5,100. And even crazier with the CLX at those same specs at almost $5,500. Although at least with the CLX machine, you can remove those unnecessary extras. Moving down from 4 terabytes of SSD storage to a 1 terabyte and 64 gigabytes of RAM to 32 gigabytes will bring this down quite a bit to $4,600. That's really the main benefit to go with CLX, is the amount of customizations available at each spec. So taking in all of these stats and factoring in how inexpensive the i7 3080 version of this computer is, my top choice is absolutely that version of this computer. Only $2,300 for that is a great deal. But if you absolutely want the best of the best and you're willing to pay top dollar for it, then yes, the i9 3090 Ti versions of these computers are going to be the fastest. If you plan on purchasing one of these graphics cards or computers and this video helped you, then please remember to use my affiliate links in the comments and description below, as I get a small commission at no cost to you for every single purchase made. And it's a major factor in keeping this channel going and getting better and better for you. And I'd like to personally thank my members for their monthly contribution to this channel. I really appreciate you guys. And remember, every week I do a giveaway that randomly selects someone who's interacted with this channel or filled out the form in the description. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe with notifications turned on to stay up to date with that, as well as staying up to date with all of my latest gaming PCs. And the winner for this week is
Isaiah Hadley.
Thanks for watching, guys. I love you guys. God bless.